Perfect.
How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of Beared Down Uncut, the show where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. Today, in episode number 176 of Uncut, as promised, we are back taking a look at 5 potential offensive tackles or offensive guards that the Bears could select in the second round of this month's NFL draft. The Bears currently hold picks number 39 as well as 44. Assuming they're probably going to go with a wide receiver with one of those picks. The offensive line is definitely a good spot to target with the other. They need to build up some protection for Justin Fields. So today we're going to be giving you guys all of our potential prospects that we think could fall to the Bears. Welcome back to the show, though. We're glad to be doing this, back again and consistently. If you are new to the channel, wherever you may be listening, do us a favor, drop a like, subscribe, follow. We're going to be bringing you guys the best draft coverage on the web for the Bears for the month of April and coverage throughout the rest of the season. I'm your host, Chris Malpe. Today, to talk about some offensive lineman prospects, I am joined by my co-host, Parth Shaw. Parth, how's it going, my man?
I'm doing pretty good. Just a Tuesday afternoon for us here, and just had some lunch. Just got some classes later, so have some time to record in between, and just happy to get on this consistent grind to just record every day, hopefully.
Absolutely. The draft overall throughout the last 2 or 3 years has really been our bread and butter. So always feels good coming back to this. Quick shout out, if you can see my shirt, to everyone over at CHGO. We've got some good friends of the show over there, Kevin K. Duke, Nicholas Moriano, Will DeWitt. They're doing some special stuff over there and got a pretty cool shirt out of it. So had to support the guys. They're definitely getting their draft coverage underway now, and we're kicking ours into gear. It's a lot of fun to do, but today we've got 5 draft prospects for the Bears, offensive linemen, combination of offensive tackle and offensive guard. This is assuming that Lucas Patrick is lining up at center for the Bears. They brought him over from the Packers in free agency. Originally a guard, but Ryan Poles envisions him playing center. So we're going to look at some guards and some tackles today. The Bears can use help all across the offensive line. One reminder as well, they've still got Tevin Jenkins there looking to break out in year 2 at the tackle position. So we're going to start here with a guard. The Bears obviously have Cody Whitehair still. They did lose James Daniels to the Pittsburgh Steelers in free agency. So we're going to start with a guard that is mocked to go late first round, early second round. We've got Zion Johnson out of Boston College, 6'3", 312 pounds. He received a 6.34 prospect grade from NFL Next Gen Stats. That is with the presumption that he will eventually be a plus starter in the league. He is very strong, very big body, and he was called a phone booth guard in college because it seems like he puts people in phone booths and makes it real hard for the defender to get to the quarterback when he was at Boston College. So he really has a supreme strength level and drives his brute force from the ground up. Operates really well and has excellent leverage and lift into the initial strike into a defender. The Bears are unfortunately in a division where a lot of pass rushers are, a lot of very good pass rushers are, guys like Rashawn Gary, Darius Smith, now with the Minnesota Vikings. So you're going to have a lot of very good pass rushers coming at Justin Fields. So bringing in someone like Zion Johnson after watching his tape that can take accurate cutoff angles, can also stop linebackers coming in on the blitz, and overall has just this natural pop to his game is really a good addition, in my opinion. I mean, look, in the grand scheme of things, the Bears can use help anywhere along the line, even potentially at the center position. So bringing in any help is good help, and Zion Johnson is definitely someone that could come in and provide that help. He's someone who, as of right now, is a fan favorite in Chicago, alongside this next man who Parth's going to talk a little bit about, Abraham Lucas, offensive tackle from Washington State. The tackle position, as I mentioned earlier, with Tevin Jenkins is a little bit up in the air right now. They do have Larry Borum, who proved to have some good snaps in 2021, but no one really knows what's in store in the future for him. So, Parth, I'm going to pass it off to you to talk a little bit about Abraham Lucas out of Washington State.
Yeah, Abraham Lucas out of Washington State. He's 6'6". He ran a 4.92. He plays faster than a lot of other offensive linemen coming into this draft. despite being such a big dude, he's able to, create some space. And he's played in what's it called, an air raid offense at Washington State. We all know how they like to throw the ball a lot down there. But despite that, he's been really well. He started 12 games at right tackle this past year, and he's been able to use his big body to get up on defenders and then anchor his narrow base. He struggles to generate force, however, but that's his biggest weakness, just struggling to generate some force and using his hands properly. But other than that, he's able to use his legs really well, move to the sides, which is really important when you're looking at an offensive line. But yeah, the air raid system definitely is something that makes me a little concerned because they haven't been able to run the ball as much down there at Washington State.
Yeah, the air raid offense obviously doesn't translate incredibly well to the NFL, but Abraham Lucas is someone who comes in with some pretty good technique, and I would think most definitely would be around by the time when the Bears are picking there at either 39 or 44, depending on which way they want to go, assuming they go offensive lineman and wide receiver with those second-round picks. So definitely another interesting one there. Could fill a hole alongside Tevin Jenkins with the Bears in terms of our tackle positions. Even though I would say the guard position is a little more pressing. These
Yeah,
next two that we're going
definitely.
to get into are players that not only can play at the guard position, but also can fill in at the tackle position. We're going to start here with Darion Kinnard out of Kentucky. He received a prospect grade on after his NFL combine of 6.24, which translates to him being eventually an average starter in the league. 6'5", 322 pounds. Once again, out of Kentucky, a school that has been pretty solid in terms of college football for these last couple of years under Mark Stoops. He's a 3-year starter at right tackle, but he has a right guard projection into the NFL draft. Kinnard's someone I really like and actually have sat down and watched some of his tape. He is an absolute nasty blocker who maintains incredible balance and posture when he is blocking. He's really good at being able to torque and turn defenders out of the picture when they're trying to rush the quarterback. And I also think he does have a benefit in run blocking due to his premium wingspan. He has enormous hands, so when he gets into the second level, he can still be productive as a blocker. This is someone I would really love for the Bears to target if he can fall down to their picks. He's mocked as middle of the second round right now, so it could be right in Chicago's breadbasket. But overall, Darion Kinnard, Kinnard, I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. Overall, a nasty blocker, just a mean dude, someone you would expect Ryan Poles would potentially pinned down as one of his favorites looking at this entire offensive lineman class. Poles puts an emphasis on the offensive line and wants to bring in some mean dudes, and I think Darion Kinnard would definitely fit that bill. So that's one of the guard/tackles I would like. Seems like he's going to come into the league as a guard, but could fill in at tackle as well. Parth, I'm going to shoot it back over to you now. This is another second-round projection. This player is mocked in the second round right now, so could be there for the taking for the Bears. Tell me a little more about Kenyon Green, someone who switched between both guard and tackle in college at Texas A&M.
Yeah, he's very versatile. He had 12 starts total this year, 7 at left guard, 2 at right tackle, 2 at right guard, and 1 at left tackle. And one of the biggest things I like about drafting offensive linemen is when they're versatile enough to play almost any position, because you never know what position they're really going to play in the NFL. In college, they could be playing tackle, but they play guard better in the NFL or vice versa. Anything can happen. So just having that versatility really, jumps out to me. He's a burly dude, and he's got a wide-bodied frame, and he's got some extra weight. But despite that, he's got light feet and loose hips for his size, which is really important. Like I said, you want someone who's athletic, especially with the way the Bears are going to run this offense. It's going to be fast moving, and then with Justin Fields, you want someone who's able to get out of his way if needed. And he also had 35 starts in total at college. He's a former 5-star recruit. He's been a great player for a very long time. I really would like him. If he's there at 39 or 48 and the Bears are sitting there, I wouldn't mind this pick, especially knowing that we do need a hole. We do have some holes at the offensive line, whether that's guard or tackle, depending on what happens to Parham, Jenkins, wherever they're more comfortable playing. And same thing goes with Cody Whitehair and Lucas Patrick. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and let me correct myself. I've been saying pick 44 this entire podcast. It's 48 that the Bears got from the Los Angeles Chargers in the trade for Khalil Mack. So 2 picks, 9 picks apart. Similar to the situation they were in just 2 years ago when
Yep.
they went with Jaylen Johnson and Cole Kmet,
Yeah.
and had a variety of options at different positions, just picks apart. So Kenyon Green's definitely another interesting one there that definitely could land in Chicago and is mocked as a second rounder. This last player, and before I get into it, Parth, I'd like to touch on that piece you said about versatility. I think that's so important. When you look at some of the best offensive linemen in the league, someone like a Joe Thuney, and numerous other players throughout the league. Versatility is important amongst the offensive line, and in a day when COVID still exists and players are potentially out for certain games, having someone who can switch across the line and still make you a strong unit is most definitely important. So that's big. But this last player is someone who has risen up the draft boards as well. One more that is a fan favorite among Chicago right now. This is Dylan Parham out of Memphis. He received a prospect grade of 6.20, similar to Kinnard. That's going to mock him as being an average starter. Eventually, he's projected to go in the late second round to early third round, but could possibly go even earlier. Taking a look at some of Parham's tape, I really like his technique that stands out over anything else. Isn't essentially the strongest guy. One of his weaknesses here on NFL.com is it feels like he's a small guard from a mass standpoint, and he's very much so labored heading into the league. He was a 4-year starter at Memphis, but he has really solid technique and uses balanced, choppy styles to set into his blocks. He's able to unlock his hips and really push downhill. And I think overall he maintains really good poise and has a good feel for where the rusher is that's coming at the quarterback. So Dylan Parham's an interesting one to close out this video. He's someone who a lot of Bears fans want in Chicago. I believe he's someone who the Bears have met with in these recent couple of weeks. Long story short, as we close this out, as we said yesterday in the wide receiver version of this video, there are going to be numerous choices for the Bears to potentially make at a multitude of different positions, whether that be wide receiver, offensive line, guard, or tackle. Cornerbacks also another pressing need. You could see a situation in which the Bears take a safety. There are a lot of different positions and ways in which the Bears can go about this. So having 2 picks in the second round is going to be a very primal spot for Chicago to be in. They could take advantage of some players falling down the board like we've seen in recent years. And similar to what they did in 2020, they could most definitely find 2 starters, especially when they're taking a look at this batch of offensive linemen with the picks they have allocated to them. So thank you guys so much for tuning into episode number 176 of Uncut. If you want more content from us, head over to our website, beareddown.com. The link is in the description. We're getting our website back up and rolling with articles from all of our contributors here in the month of April covering the 2022 NFL Draft. And you can also find out more just about what we're doing over on our website, so be sure to go check it out. If you'd like to keep in touch with us on social media, you can find the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at Beared Down. Another great way to interact with us, see when we post new content, and see sneak peeks of guests coming on the show, because we're definitely going to have a couple of guest appearances here as the draft rolls around in April. And finally, you can find the links to all of our personal social media pages down in the description as well for myself, as well as Parth and everyone on the team. It's a great way to interact with us once again, and you can see our thoughts on all things Bears, the National Football League, as well as the entirety of Chicago sports. So Parth Shaw, that is pretty much going to do it for this one. Great national championship game last night between Kansas and North Carolina. Baseball starting up here in 48 hours. The Masters starting up here in 48 hours. The draft getting going later this month. I think we're in a pretty good spot in terms of sports right now. NBA playoffs are also soon. Any last words before we sign off?
Yeah, the game last night was incredible. Couldn't have asked for a better national championship. I really wanted UNC to win, but that's all good. And then, like you said, the Masters, I'm really excited for that. Tiger's gonna be playing. He just announced that a couple hours ago, so I'm really excited to see him back again. And yeah, baseball season, White Sox should be a good year. A lot to look forward to. So excited for sure.
Yeah, definitely in a good swing of things right now. Last night I just rooted for Kansas because they're in the Midwest, and Being
Fair.
from Illinois, I was like, okay, whatever. I'll just root for them. Normally, I root for the underdog, but I know too many people who are UNC fans, so I had to go with the favorites in that one. And it was a great game, a great 16-point comeback by the Jayhawks. Hopefully, the Bulls can win a game to guarantee themselves a main round playoff spot. It's been a little bit frustrating watching them. They've got the Bucks tonight, and they're 2-19 against the top 10 teams in the league, 0-3 against Milwaukee. So a Cleveland loss or a Bulls win anytime in the rest of the season guarantees the Bulls not to be in a play-in. It's been a good season for them, but I hope they can surely clutch it up here at the end of the year and maybe make things interesting in the playoffs because it's a completely new slate. It'll be good to see a Chicago team in the playoffs again, regardless, though. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, drop a like, subscribe, follow wherever you may be listening. We're going to be coming back with Bears content each and every day. It's been a pleasure to be your host, though. Once again, my name is Chris Maltby, and Bears fans, as always, do us a favor and stay safe and bear down. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.